since the first singing that we've had, I remember Mike saying, and then you do a short devotional. And ever since then, it's always been a short devotional. I'm the shortest speaker you got here. 14:56 this morning. You owe me. One of the things about the Bible that I hear a lot over the years is application. What does that mean? And the New Testament's a small book, and so I thought I'd jot some things down to kind of help us picture how that looks. Parable of the sower. I want to talk about some practical things for just a moment. What are we doing out here? We see people, do we not? There are very simple ways that we can engage them in conversation. It's easy for me because that's what I do. I didn't start out that way, I'll assure you. I was very shy, bashful, crowds scared me to death, but I was forced to get over it. You can ask questions of people. One of my favorites, do you live anywhere near Greenback? And if they say yes, or they may even ask where it is, because I will say, well, I preach there, and I think we got some good stuff going on. I'd like to invite you to come. Now, and I will often give a card. And if they say something like, you know what, I've been meaning to get back to church, or I haven't gone for a while, I need to really, and then I give them one of our little brochure thingies that tells them a little bit more about what's going on with us to leave with them. And it doesn't cost anything. I don't do it with everybody, but I try to, as I'm going along, waitresses fear me when I go into restaurants. We've had some interesting conversations. One of them at Cracker Barrel, the lady goes out in the back and calls all the waitresses up front. And we have a little meeting there. That was interesting. But Sarah's always loving those moments. The sower, taking off from that, we are to sow for the sower. Doesn't get sown if we don't sow. We're to be the light for the light. If we're not, it doesn't shine. We are to sacrifice for others on behalf of the one who sacrificed everything for me and for you. We speak up when he would speak up if he were there. We don't say anything when he wouldn't say anything if he were there. We forgive because we've been forgiven. We see through his eyes the realities that are there that God understands that sometimes we overlook. We put ourselves to death because he died for us. Simple things, powerful things. So let us be sowers with God's word, with God's life, with God's virtues. And there's some folks out there that are looking. I don't know who they are. Oftentimes, they prove to be the most improbable people. And sometimes, who you think is a probable person could care less. But we don't know. That's why we sow. So we'll have opportunities. And I have, in 56 years of doing this, I started preaching almost after I became a Christian. Other than knocking on people's doors, which people don't like, just back and forth in everyday life, I've never had anybody get mad with me, or not with me. There was this one person that knew I knew somebody that she didn't like a whole lot, and I got that. But I've not had anybody. Most everybody smiles, and they thank me for inviting them maybe, or talking to them. Sometimes I ask people, what they think church should be like. And almost every time they say, well, it's a place that ought to be like a family where people love each other. Curiously enough, that's sort of what Jesus said. I'll ask when I've got a sermon that's coming up or a class, just tell somebody, I'm going to be talking about this. What do you think? It's not, I mean it, I'm sincere, but people like to be recognized. And people like to be asked what they think about things. They may come up with some of the craziest stuff you've ever heard in your life, but that's another test to just kind of smile, try to direct things in a good path. So, I'm challenging us, all of us, me, you, to be sowers, to take advantage of opportunities, to speak good words for Jesus. I went to New Zealand, we did in 1974. We were going to go there then, but it didn't work out. Congregation that was going to send us split. So we wound up, it was 10 years later, just about before we went. But the fellow that took us over there, he worked for David Lipscomb, and he was a teacher there. And he had been going to New Zealand quite a bit. And he wrote a book. And the title of it was, Speak a Good Word for Jesus. And it's a really good book. The title that he gets to at the very first, he talks of this lad in Scotland that went off to seminary to be a preacher. And he comes back home after he's graduated. And he's preaching the sermon for his home folks. He grew up there. And he gets finished, and the door remarks were kind, but you can tell when it's a good job and when it's a, hey, good job. So he goes home, and it's kind of quiet. His mom's there. And she realizes that this wasn't all she had hoped it would be. And he said, what happened? Because he was speaking college-ese to them, seminary-ese to them, academia to them. And she said, you just need to speak a good word for Jesus. That's all we need to do. Oh, it's a great privilege. So, if you're not a Christian and you've heard about Jesus and you know that he has died for you, that he wants you to be his, he wants you to follow him as his disciple, then let this be the evening that you make that commitment and walk with him and be a sower yourself. And to those of us who are Christians, it's kind of easy to just let life kind of go like it goes. Let's remind ourselves to speak a good word for Jesus. I've been surprised over the years how little it takes to make a big difference. And we never know